So, spawning up into the top right-hand position as the teal, potentially pink due to my colorblindness, Zerg player, representing Team Acer, it's Scarlett. And her opponent up in the top left-hand spot as the purple Zerg player from Missing in Action, it's Starbuck. This, of course, is a best of 3, and for anyone who is just joining us now and may not know how the Euro Series works or anything like that, let me explain. Put simply, the Euro Series is a best of 5 between the two teams, which is made up of best of 3s between the individual players. So, Scarlett and Starbuck here are going to be playing out a best of 3. Whoever wins that scores a point for their team, and then whoever is the top of their team, or first team to get to 3, wins the league. Or, not the league, they get 3rd place, but they win this clan war. So obviously, that's always important. Apparently the two overlords had a nice little kiss in the middle that I missed, but what I'm not going to miss is this giant great Ultralisk up on a spike. How does an Ultralisk even get there? What put it there? That's what I want to know. I reckon it was a really angry High Templar. That's the only thing that I can picture in my mind. Anyway, in terms of openings, it's ZvZ, so this should be a pretty aggressive, high-octane, exciting game, because there's so much that can happen. It's quite a volatile matchup, and suddenly you can be flooded with Lings and Banelings, or Roaches, or Mutalisks, and things like that. But the general mid-game position that these two players are likely to be aiming to go to will be something along the lines of a Muta-Ling strategy. Muta-Ling Bling is very popular. Mutalisks have a lot on this map too, because of this short rush distance around, the dead space surrounding the main bases, and also the way you can just dart into the natural and things. There's also the gold base on Habitation Station, which, if one player is feeling particular bold and brave, they may go and try and take it. It wouldn't be a bad move necessarily, so we've got to keep an eye on what these two get up to. Now, Overlord's just coming over for both players for the time being. Starbuck getting a good little bit of vision there. Meanwhile, Scarlett just coming over and just going, yo, okay, you've got a gas up, you've got your spawning pool a lot later than mine, but your gas is a lot earlier, and we're really seeing that reflected here in the incomes. Starbuck already nearly up to that 100 required gas to get Zergling speed started. Scarlett adding in a couple of Zerglings, but mainly just droning for the time being. The one thing that she's likely to be cautious about is whether Starbuck is going for some kind of speedling all-in. His speed is not yet started yet. Slight miscalculation there, starting up a couple too many drones before actually starting speed, but Scarlett just keeping an eye out on this to see whether drones are staying in gas or not. The next thing she's going to be checking is whether drones are being produced at the natural base rather than just Zerglings. So, a little bit of fighting going on here. The Toolings are actually coming off better at the moment for Starbuck, but a nice little turnaround there by Scarlett, who's able just to get a couple of bits of damage down. Both players droning quite heavily. The drone count, as we can see, is sitting relatively close. A slight advantage for Starbuck, but that's due to getting up the natural base a tad sooner. Scarlett should be able to level that out pretty soon, though, and in the grand schemes of things, getting down either the hatch first or spawning pool first doesn't make a huge amount of difference. So, Baneling nests are coming down on both sides. Scarlett fractionally ahead in getting hers out a tad sooner, but not by too much. And if we take a look at what's currently here for Starbuck, he's just happily chilling with everything that's coming down. Gonna just push this Overlord back from Scarlett's to try and avoid too much coming through. Big drone waves coming down, but Scarlett actually getting out a sizable number of Zerglings and a Spine Crawler. Most likely going to be defensive for the moment, but considering how many are queued up, it very well could be made aggressive. Maybe suspecting some aggression going to be coming across. There are a couple of Lings out for Starbuck at the moment, but not anywhere near as many as Scarlett's getting. Scarlett going very aggressive now. 4 Banelings morphing in. I think she's suspecting a lot of aggression to be coming through, but as we can see for the moment, Starbuck is just droning. So Scarlett now back to droning for the time being, sending a couple of Lings around the map, just going to try and get a little bit more information. With the 4 defensive Banelings should be fine. Could even go and try and apply some pressure now, and kind of has to, just due to the way this pressure was assumed. Now there's an awful lot of Lings and Banelings down, making her about 5 drones behind. So Starbuck just sitting in a comfortable spot with this Baneling and Spine Crawler there, able to block out a lot of the space. 2 defensive Banelings with 2 more morphing in at the moment. Shouldn't have too much trouble. Throwing down a second Spine, and with the double Queen there, acting as quite a nice little wall off. Scarlett though, Lair is coming down, but it's a lot later. than that of Starbuck. So for the moment, no damage has been done. The resources lost sitting very low, and that's actually okay. I'm not too worried about seeing a low resources loss count in a ZvZ. Usually means we'll get into some later stage. One nice little Baneling detonation goes down there. Scarlett attempts to detonate on those 2 Banelings, but of course it takes 2 Banelings to kill a Baneling. Couple of Ling fights are still going down, unable to get that Baneling. It gets very low, only 2 HP on it there, but Scarlett backing away. The Ling numbers seem to be in Starbuck's favour. Baneling does manage to detonate, nice control there. Scarlett currently losing about 150 more resources than that of Starbuck, who's already starting up on his Spire. Scarlett's lair just about to finish now. We should see the Spire starting pretty pronto off the back of that, knowing the Muta on Muta is the most likely route that this map and this matchup is going to be taking. So, all looking safe and secure for the moment for both sides. This earlier Spire by about 25 seconds is going to be super helpful for Scarlett, for Starbuck rather, but big Baneling detonations are going down. Nice little hit comes in there. Scarlett able to take those 2 Banelings out with 2 of her own. The third base essential now for both of these 2 players for that additional gas income. The Zerglin count in Scarlett's favour, so we see backing away quickly now. Starbuck going on the retreat, just wanting to keep his own third up more importantly. A big counter-attack, potentially devastating, so doesn't want to risk it. The third base timings are very similar, a couple of seconds apart, and holding these thirds, as I briefly touched upon, is critical to the Muta on Muta stage, because if you are able to keep up that gas, it's so important, because it just gets you about 2 more Mutalisks per minute. So, Scarlett going on the aggressive now, wants to try and cancel that third base of her opponent if at all possible, but the defensive Banelings for Starbuck, as long as used appropriately, should be fine. The Spine there as well, going to be able to poke away at that Baneling as long as it actually targets it, not doing so as of yet. One Zergling needs to go and try and take that out if it can. It's still sitting there as a bit of a danger. Nicely done there by Starbuck. Mutalisks coming out on both sides. Starbucks should be fractionally out sooner, and that they are. The +1 Carapace though, equal on both sides, and we always see the Carapace upgrade first in Mutalisks, because the Bouncing Glaive damage reduction from the Carapace is greater than the increase they get from the +1 attack. It's why it's essential to get it first in ZvZ. Now, the Lings being very active out around the map, just trading a couple of blows left and right whenever they can, but it's actually pretty mutual trades for the time being. Both players Mutalisks not willing to engage for the moment, not having a massive lead, and well, if we keep things going, everything is probably going to just ramp up. A couple of spores coming down defensively. Both players with their thirds out have got a decent amount of Mutalisk production available. It's just where they go from here. If either player thinks that they might have an advantage in that Carapace, they could attempt to go for it, but that's really where only one of the advantages comes through from getting down Mutalisks in Muta fights. Getting the +1 Carapace is good. Getting more Mutalisks, better. Getting both of those is great. But the other little thing, which some players can sometimes overlook, is that if you have a Muta on Muta fight and you have ground units underneath that engagement, they will soak up some of the Bouncing Glaives for you. And that's what you always want. So, a couple more Spore Callers just getting thrown down here. Creep Spread isn't essential in ZvZ, but for the most part, these two just ramping up the Mutalisk count, 17 to 18. The gas income, identical. They're both mining off of these 6 Vespian Geysers for the time being. No attempt so far to try and transition if we take a quick peek. Both players just getting down a couple of spores just in case a few Mutalisks poke their way through. One lone Baneling went in there. In terms of the workers killed, none as of yet, but Scarlett going to be trying to change that, managing to surround there, but a Spine and the Queen doing a nice bit of damage. The Queen should go down here. Nice pick off by Scarlett by knocking that at its good times. The Muta on Muta fight is also occurring. Scarlett with the with the same numbers and the same upgrades, but a Queen to transfuse just tips things in her favour, forcing a retreat from Starbuck at the moment. Again, resources lost, now favouring Scarlett, but not by too much. Scarlett's Muta count the same though, and that's going to be the big thing that Starbuck wants to make sure he keeps the same. Losing a couple more Mutalisks than your opponent can quickly turn the tide of the battle. So, another small Ling engagement coming down the south here, but a big change in pace from Scarlett as she takes her 4th base significantly earlier than Starbuck's. And that's what these Lings were trying to accomplish down in the bottom left of the map, just to spot whether or not Starbuck had tried to take his own. Starbuck getting down the infestation pit, that's going to allow him to go up to Hive, but we're quite likely to see a couple of infestors come out too, straight away with pathogen glands, and the purpose for that is if you're able to get 1, maybe 2 money fungals on your opponent's Mutalisk flock, you suddenly win that engagement so magnificently. So, 1-1 upgrades are nearly complete for Scarlett. A bit behind for Starbuck actually by about 50 seconds. Good window of opportunity that the Acer Zerg may try to incorporate into her strategy. But for the most part, just going to be most concerned about infestors coming through. So a good number of Mutalisks just poking around for both players. An attempt to take the gold as the 4th there from Starbuck. A bold move there. But, well, so far, a fairly even game. The work accounts relatively similar, Starbuck slightly up, but note the 4th base for Scarlett is now active. The Mutalisk's flocks are getting close to engaging, but look at this discrepancy in number, 36 to 27 now. Big lead coming through for Scarlett, and that's because so much gas has been pumped into these infestors. If they get the fungal growth they need down though, it doesn't matter how many Mutalisks you have, and look at how clumped they are. The infestors have now been seen. Scarlett going to be a lot more cautious, but remember, that 4th base now up is going to give a lot. There comes down a fungal, it is a big fungal growth, and suddenly all of the Mutalisks of Scarlett have been caught. The chain fungals need to be good, but they are good. Scarlett, she is taking an incredible amount of damage now. Starbuck plowing through all of them. Lots of Mutalisks on red health, which isn't really where you want them to be. You need them dead because they heal up just so incredibly fast. But still, the damage coming through. We do have the Mutalisks pulling back for the time being. We've got a nice little bit of damage coming through, but the Mutaflock, if we take a quick look at that, is now still in Scarlett's favor, but not by as much. Scarlett attempting to take down her own infestation pit, knowing the urgency to get up her own infestors. Staying in this game, most likely due to these 2 additional gases, so we've got to keep a close peek on what's going to come out from there and whether Starbuck is able to take his 4th and now 5th base and secure those additional Vespian geysers. Gotta keep those Vespian geysers down, gotta make sure that you get those additional gas incomes, but well, Scarlett looking to be able to cancel both, force the cancel of the gold base, a long way out for this 4th, should mean that it's very barely saved, but the Mutalisks are only able to get there in the knack of time. So, Scarlett is starting to look a bit stronger in this match now. The Mutalisk count has leveled out, but no infestors as of yet for Scarlett. She's got 6 on the way and is going to need all of them. We're now just past the 18-minute mark in this game, and denying these additional expansions is going to be essential. Whoever does the better expansion denial job will win this game, just because they're able to deny some of that gas income. A Spore Crawler getting tanked head-on will cost Starbuck a single Mutalisk though. Both players attempting to go up to their Hive. Scarlett a little ahead on that for the time being. Out come the infestors though, and this is where, yet again, we're starting to see things tie up and look a bit similar. The infestor count just in Scarlett's favour. She's also got 5 more Mutalisks due to having that additional gas for longer. Although, interestingly, hasn't transferred drones back to those gas geysers as of yet. Instead, prioritising her attention on denying more expansion, stopping that gold base from being taken from Starbuck at the moment. The supplies of both players are relatively similar for the time being, but Starbuck's drone count now a little way ahead. He's 7 drones up and has been for quite a while. So, 1-1 upgrades on the way down for both players' ground units. This is where we start getting a lot later into the game. The Ultralisk Cavern is on its way down for Scarlett. Got a couple of Mutalisks engaging upon those Zerglings, but it's actually Scarlett's Zerglings that are retreating back. The Mutalisks making their way forward, and there isn't much here to defend. The Spine Crawler is not going to be any use against these Mutas, but Scarlett coming in with her own Mutalisks and a couple of infestors. If the Fungals are good, it could be GG. Nice Fungals, catch a good group of Mutalisks, catch another group too. This is disastrous for Starbuck as Scarlett starts taking it all out. However, Zerglings made it straight into the main base of the Acer Zerg, doing a good amount of damage. That spawning pool getting particularly low on health, could get sniped out. Not another one getting rebuilt yet. Does go down. Another Ultralisk Cavern is in construction though, and now another spawning pool coming through too. Look at the Muta count though, 23 to 7. Monstrously in favour of the Acer Zerg. Scarlett is in a good spot so far. Gotta make sure that she maintains this lead and keeps it steady. 5th base now attempting to come down from Starbuck. He's got to start taking risks now. He needs the additional Vespian if he's going to catch up in that Muta count. +3 flyer attack on its way down. 2-1 upgrades for air up against 1-1 for Starbuck. And slowly but steadily, Scarlett looking to take a lead in this game. Up in supply now. Still down in the worker count, but looking strong. The Hive taking a decent amount of damage. And well, it's not at any risk of dying as of yet. Scarlett, though, is at risk of delivering a killing blow. 5 Ultralisks are in production. The gold base now being taken. Doesn't know about this 7 o'clock base for the moment out of the missing in action player Starbuck, but is still just so far ahead in the Mutalisk flock. 23 to 18, and the upgrades 2-1 with +3 attack also on its way out. Still, things going pretty damn close. Scarlett just playing it very cautious, waiting for those Ultralisks to make their way onto the field. The Ultralisk cavern for Starbuck is also on its way out, but note that is just so much later. Ultralisks alone take 55 seconds to produce. These Ultras can be devastating. Mutalisks not too good against them. Zerglings not too good against them. So it is going to be tough to try and make this work, but Scarlett, Ultra, Infesta, Mutalisk with a great composition. Just waiting for the max out point, holding these additional bases. Starbuck very cautious about taking any engagements due to those Infestors, which once again threaten a fungal growth but won't quite go down. Nice little roll through here. A lot of Banelings defensively in position though for Scarlett. Going to be able to shut down that Zergling run by before it's able to do too much damage. But these two just posturing, poised, ready to take that winning blow if they can. A lot of Queens are down here. They're great against the Mutalisks. With the Transfuses, can hold up Ultras, but there's no Ultras down at the moment for Starbuck. Scarlett moving on in, taking down this constructing static defense. A few fungal growths dealing damage, but not rooting the Ultras due to being massive units. And now we're seeing Scarlett start pushing on forward, trying to take down these fringe expansions. The Infestors a little bit caught, quite a few now dying, but Scarlett still has to be careful of those fungal growths. She's got her own though at the back. The Spore Crawlers not doing too much. Starbuck's Ultras will get taken down. And an attempt by Scarlett to try and stop this Ultralisk from doing a nice path blocking with those infested Terran eggs. But for the moment, Scarlett looking pretty strong. A couple of Ultralisks are out for Starbuck, but now we may have what is the pinnacle engagement of this game. Both players fighting it out, but the Fungals for Scarlett just allowing her to win this air battle once more. And with that, all of the Mutalisks go down. Starbuck chasing out the Ultralisks, or chasing down the Infestors with his own Ultralisks, but with the Mutalisk count looking so nice at the moment for Scarlett, I really question what can be done. A few cute Zergling 1-bys coming in here too from Starbuck at the moment, but Scarlett looking so dominating for the time being. Ultralisks just being ploughed out. Starbuck droning. He has been able to take down that gold base, which is obviously a very nice pick-off at this stage of the game, trying to prevent those additional expansions, specifically since he's kept up his own fit and has the gold of his own. Good amounts of damage being done with these Zergling run-bys. Scarlett just having to take up a lot of time cleaning them out. Her Mutalisks, though, now going up against these Ultralisks with the +3 attack, don't actually fare that badly. These Mutalisks, remember, deal 12 damage per hit, so even with the Ultra Armor, still doing a fairly good job. Kindness Plating is down on both sides. 2-2 upgrades for ground on both sides, but it's the 3-1 upgrades up against 2-2 air upgrades that is just really helping Scarlett for the moment. Another Muta on Muta fight here. Only the Mutalisks engaging. No Queens, no Infestors, no Spores, and that allows Scarlett to win just through numbers. Now decimating this drone line at the 5th base. Starbuck still looking relatively close economically, but the overall supply, the army supply, is really where Scarlett shows her lead. Up 184 to 111, now takes out the 5th base, heading towards the 4th too. There's so many Infestors here, so many Ultras, so many Lings, just a devastating force at the moment. And, well, this is all going pretty good for Scarlett, who is going to take game 1 of this best of 3.